everybody, and welcome back to another Nextlander podcast. Alex Navarro, how are you?
Oh, you know, I'm getting by. How you doing, Vinny?
Okay, got taken care of a couple of things. I'm changing out my ethylene absorbers for my refrigerator, of course, as one does. It is October. Am I right, Brad Shoemaker?
You've never been more right, as I look at the calendar.
It's everybody knows it's ethylene absorber changing month.
All right, is that a thing I gotta do?
Do you have a newish fridge that now has a fresh keeper, produce keeper, little pouch or something in a produce drawer? This is a thing that came with our fridge when we got it a few years ago, and
we are, as far as I can tell, what we have is a pouchless refrigerator.
God, I swear, they're just sometimes it just seems like they are just putting things to just be like almost subscription based, where you're just like, hey, don't forget that you got to change this thing out every once in a while. It keeps you. So I guess ethylene is something that this is the pitch, is that it's a thing that vegetables or fruits off gas that can speed up the rotting of a vegetable or fruit. And if you have these absorbers in there, it's supposed to keep your vegetables and fruit preserved longer in the thing. I have, over the whatever it was, 5 years I've had my fridge, I have never changed these things. And we were cleaning out the fridge recently, and I was like, I'll just go look these up and go see. This sounds like a scam, but we go look these up. So I don't know.
Sounds like you got a buildup of ethylene. There's your problem.
There's your problem. Too much ethylene in the fridge, along with the water filter in the fridge, and I don't change the air odor filter in our fridge either. I just keep the stuff cold. Is really what I ask.
So that ethylene thing, I guess that's the opposite of the thing where if you put certain fruits together in a paper bag, they'll ripen faster.
Oh. That's probably the opposite of it. One is probably off-gassing, and
what is it? It's like apples and it's one or the other. It's like if you put bananas in a bag with apples, they'll ripen faster or something like that.
Bananas in a bag with apples is either my sex tape or my. We'll just leave it there. It's my sex tape. Vinny's bananas in a bag with apples. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew it was Ethylene Awareness Month. The other thing I wanted to make people aware of is what is going on? Question mark. I'll just leave it there.
Okay.
Hey, what is going on?
I wish I had an answer for you.
You are asking the wrong person, pal.
I've had a life insurance policy for a while now. Since we had kids, I got a life insurance policy. You know, I understand people have different views on life insurance policies, whether it's a scam or not, whatever you want to do. After we got kids, we got a life insurance policy. I paid it for how old is my son? 12 years? 12 years. Paid this life insurance policy once a year. It's not a super high premium. Gives me some peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, I got a second notice of a missed payment for my life insurance policy. And so this is with a pretty large company that I had heard of before. This isn't some fly-by-night thing. And I double-checked, and I had paid it as soon as I got the invoice for it, like I do every year. Knock on wood. Never missed one. Knock on wood. I emailed them and never got a response back and said, hey, got the second notice. Just want to make sure. Payment was listed on their website. Just want to make sure everything's cool. It says the payment cleared and everything's fine. Mm-hmm. Never got a response back from them. Okay. And I did the thing that any rational person would do, is you ask your partner to follow up with them via the phone, because you don't want to be on a phone with anybody. Yeah. And I said, hey, could you call them? I gotta go do something else.
Man, that works.
It does. If you just
try that,
you just gotta dial the phone and throw it. You gotta
time it right. You gotta make sure that you get them at the right moment.
And she got back to me and said, oh, I called them. Apparently, they never respond to emails. They have sent a paper letter in response. They only respond via paper letter. So lo and behold, a week and a half later, I got a paper letter that said, we have received your thing. We are looking into it. Recently, and this is the reason I bring this up, I got a letter from them, and it basically says, hey, disregard that second notice letter. Just disregard it. No, we made a mistake or anything. The second reminder notice received dated September 13th can be disregarded. The policy is paid through August, whatever. 2025. It's once a year. This is the thing I wanted to bring up to you guys, to be like, okay, what does this mean? It says, and again, I paid this as soon as I got the invoice, I paid it. So within a couple of days, in order to avoid a second reminder notice generating in the future, it is best to pay the premium as of the due date listed on the notice, no earlier and no later.
What? So you gotta time it?
What does that mean?
Wait.
Like don't feed this bill after midnight.
Or
something
before
bad will
midnight,
happen.
apparently.
Do I have to like make sure they're opening the check? Like at the
Yeah, you
stroke?
gotta feather it. You gotta feather it a little bit to make sure that it lands on their desk at the exact right moment.
Click the button at the stroke of 12.
What does that mean? I pay it when I get the invoice and it says, hey, a payment is due, and then I pay it, and then no earlier and no later, just exactly the due date.
One of those makes sense.
That is a completely insane thing to tell someone. I'm sorry.
The only thing I can think of is like if you prepay, maybe that's what they're like, hey, don't pay too early, otherwise a notice might generate, or it's going to track that you didn't get the thing. But like, what a way to word that of like,
you know what? From a system that apparently cannot respond to email and can only send letters through the mail, I guess that's not that surprising.
Look, I respect that they don't want to respond by email. Like, I don't know, maybe there's like they're avoiding any chance of a scam happening, or like never open an email from us because we will never send you a thing via email. Really what it probably is like we just don't want to do customer service. And so we will just send you paper. Don't email us ever.
There's definitely no human being on the other end of this process.
There's no other human here. They also you can fill out a form to ask them a question. They were like, hey, contact us, and it's via email, and then it's like there's no sign there that's like, we're not going to respond to this email.
I mean, it's like everything. You need to escalate about 5 levels before you hit a person.
I thought that was hilarious when I got it, because it's like, try not to pay early, but definitely don't pay late. What a fucking world we live in.
You have a 5-minute window, hit it.
Yeah.
The vagaries of modern living. Do you know that kind of task? You know, that kind of item on your to-do list, like what I like to think of as administrative tasks, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you got to return a form, you got to rectify some bill discrepancy, something involving paperwork or a phone call or filing a thing or whatever. Is there ever a point in your life now as a 40-something-year-old adult where you don't have, like, 5 of those sitting there waiting for you at all times?
I haven't found it if it exists.
5 of them?
Well, maybe, okay, 5 may be an exaggeration.
A handful, let's just say.
Are you ever at bureaucratic task 0?
No.
I feel
no.
I've always got some
disregarding
combination.
Personal life, not with this job, not like owning the business stuff.
To be fair, like 3 of the ones I've got right now are on account of being self-employed and co-owning a company.
That really like doubles the amount of stuff. But like, yeah, no, there's always some weird thing. I still have like 3 things I need to write a check for. In any given, let's just say 3 things a year. I still am writing paper checks for. I write about 6 paper checks a year. But yeah, there's always. I mean, look, when you have kids, you're filling out forms every fucking week. Who's got a permission slip? Who needs this? Oh, they need permission to eat lunch. Do you need this? That's sign a test. You know, like I use my signature, by the way, that I perfected during our poster signing, my baseball signature now on my kids' tests, and they're like, what is this signature you are putting on my test? I'm like, it's freaking cool, right? It's cool. Yeah, it's pretty rad.
Good luck trying to fucking forge that.
Yeah, or like if you do, that ain't what I sign my checks with. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's my autograph signature. Anyway, yes, Brad, there's always an administrative task overhanging. There's always a due date for something. Mm-hmm. I actually went through the exercise with my wife, almost as in like a Jubilee-esque way of like, okay, if we started from scratch, what do we need to pay? Like if we hit the reset button, what are the things? Health insurance, mortgage, internet. I would put internet on a must pay, right? Homeowners insurance, car insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Now I start getting into the like, okay, what else is like a necessity bills wise? I'm not talking like food and stuff like that. Cancel all subscriptions. Just gone. Who needs it? I constantly, maybe this is almost to your point, Brad. I just now constantly feel like I'm I owe somebody some amount of money all the time, right? Like for some, like they've got us in the web, the subscription web of everything. And by the way, thanks for everybody for supporting us over at patreon.com/Nextlander.
As always, our Patreon is exempt from these discussions.
But yeah, I was like, man, can we just like, I think I might just hit the mains on the house, right? And basically turn it all off and just start adding back in. Because I recently did that with that Windows 11 install, and this computer's never run better. So, you know, I think they just need to do it with my life. And just turn them all off. All right. Speaking of, now that I've talked about my bills, speaking of reinstalling stuff on this computer, I decided I was done with the GeForce experience. I'm just going to go the full Sunshine route for my, even though that thing is deprecated, or the support for it is deprecated with Moonlight, it still worked mostly until up until I did that reinstall. But I'm like, I'm not putting that back on. I'm just going to go Sunshine. I've used it on another computer before. It's fine. And for folks who don't know, that's for the remote playing. That's I have Moonlight on a Steam Link. Is that what they're called? I think that's what they're called. I got confused. Steam Deck, Steam Link. I think it's a Steam Link.
Yeah. Man, your Steam Link's still going, huh?
No, actually, I lied. I have it on an NVIDIA Shield.
Right, yes.
And so Moonlight interfaces with your computer via this other program called Sunshine to basically give you a remote desktop experience with a lot of options. And that's how I play a lot of games. My whole setup is in the garage. I downloaded that. It worked fine. I have to get a couple of things going to get it 4K HDR to my TV because I don't have 4K monitors here. So I'm just going to put in one of those like dummy plugs and pretend I have a 4K monitor and not really have one. But I installed Play Night this time. Now, I've never done that before. This is the first. I've heard of it. And this is a way that I've seen other people do their kind of remote setup with Play Night. And this gave me like an existential crisis in a way that like I don't, video game wise, that Alex, I feel like you'll appreciate, and other people out there will just laugh at me. So what Play Night does, it can aggregate all of your game front end services, Steam, GOG, Epic, EA, Ubisoft, even Microsoft games. And collate all that stuff into one massive game library, and you can actually tie in your accounts to have it pull in stuff that's not even installed on your computer, just your entire game library. And I did it, and it's overwhelming, and there's a lot of dupes in there, and it's overwhelming. But I suddenly realized, out of the thousands of things on this list, I don't actually own any of these. I just license these.
It's true.
I don't own. I suddenly was looking at my entire 25-year library here, and I don't own a goddamn thing on this list.
That is not the direction I was expecting you to go. I thought you were going to be more like I saw how many games I owned and then started like counting how many years left I have to play them all.
I did do that. That is the thing that actually inspired this. Just stop all subscriptions, because I could be happy just playing all of these games for the rest of my adult life, right? And into death. But then I realized when I was thinking about that, like, oh, if these things just turned off, I don't own any of these. Like, if they just revoke the licenses, how much have I invested in this? What am I doing? What am I doing with my life?
What are you doing?
I've just licensed my life away in these games. There's nothing actually here. It's all here, but it's not actually here.
That's the life we live, man. That is the existence we have made for ourselves.
I feel like you're barreling toward like all of society is an illusion.
It's kind of,
we have no one and nothing.
Once it was all presented in front of me, everything was just put in front of me, and I was scrolling through just all these games and being like, none of it's real. None of it's real.
Well, so wait a minute. Okay, do any of these platforms, like, does anything just give you full ownership?
GOG will, I think, give you...
That's what I thought. That would be the one.
But if it's a service, and I am downloading off of their servers, and if they went away and if they didn't have access to their servers, am I gonna go convince a store that I own this game from GOG and be like, no, actually, you should give me Cyberpunk. I did buy it on GOG. I own it. No, I have to download from their server.
It's on you to archive it. Actually, does GOG let you? Do they give you? They don't give you just an installer, right? Like you still have to install through their store. Like
GOG, in my memory, is one of the ones that will just give you kind of an install, like an executable that you can just run independent.
Well, if they do, then you should be fine, even if their service goes online. You just have to make sure it's downloaded and
if
installed.
I have it. Yeah.
I mean, in practical terms, you still don't own even that. I mean, you're still, even when you buy something on a disc, you're still just licensed to use the content on it. Yes. You just happen to also have the ability to resell the physical vessel that it's on.
Or to you are the maintainer of that thing, right? You're not reliant on somebody else being able to serve you. Anyway, it was
like you can't then start up a service where you charge people to play your game library every month.
Of course, right. But I can go into my little tub over there and go pull out an old Nintendo game and just play it, and I don't have to worry about it being served. It was just a moment of like, here's everything, but here's nothing at all. It's just a collection of rights to use. So anyway, that was my little crisis. But Play Night seems to actually work really well, and I actually had a really good time.
I'm sitting here looking at the image carousel, scroll by. It looks fine. It looks like a Steam library, basically.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of nice options. You can do things like just pull in different art from Steam Grid or other places you want to fill out your library, and it was really just nice to have everything collated in one place and not have all the launchers, right? Like that's what I was trying to avoid is, all right, look, I mostly bounce between Steam and Epic at this point, and it's nice to just have everything in one spot.
Oh, actually, the nicest thing I see on here is that it still has the kind of column view that Steam used to have before they took it away. Remember that?
Yeah,
and you
big
could just
list.
easily sort by release date and size and everything.
Yeah, and it tracks a bunch of stuff. I'm not trying to shill for Play Night. I've barely used it, but it does track things like time played, and we'll try and import that stuff from your Steam or Epic accounts or anything you've tied to it, so you can do that. You can mark things as completed, and there are some nice features, and it can bring in things that I did not do, but RetroArch or other emulator things to try and have one unified place. I also have another program that I paid for, which was not Big Box.
It's another, what you're talking about.
Yeah,
something box.
Launchbox. It's another front end that I actually really like. But this seemed to just be, I wanted to try it and see how it goes. And it was great. And I was able to get it all set up and play some games that we should talk about right now over on the couch, the couch experience. Beginning with, let's see, what to begin with. Let's just talk about Echoes of Wisdom quickly here. Let me lay a little Echoes of Wisdom on you guys. I think that game is not super great. I don't think it's terrible. I think it is I don't want to say the word mid, but it's a mid game.
You just said it.
You just did it.
I'm just gonna point that out.
Yeah. It's a medium game. It is a 3.5 game. It's
a 3 in a world where we only work with a 5-point scale. Is it a 3?
I might bump it to a 4.
Well, then it's not
sure?
mid.
That doesn't sound so mid. Then.
That sounds pretty good, actually.
It's a 3.5.
I think I can tell you from experience. Sometimes it's difficult to give a 3.
I know.
Sometimes you should just take a deep breath and give a 3.
I might give it a 3. I really just wanted it to be over at some point.
That sounds like a textbook 3 to me.
That's a 3. That is 100% a 3.
Also, I don't think I've ever. Well, I shouldn't say this because I've played Breath of the Wild and some other games. This one had like 1 or 2 technical issues that I had to actually force quit from the game.
Interesting.
A boss got stuck in an animation and wouldn't progress, and I had to force quit out and refight the boss again. Which I've had some technical stuff. I shouldn't say like Nintendo is usually airtight, and this isn't just Nintendo.
Well, and especially with late Switch stuff, like nothing has really been airtight on the current Switch like path.
Yeah, and like this one has got some minor performance issues. It's certainly not unplayable, but it could be a little more polished in general.
But I don't know. I think it started strong. I like the premise. It was fun for a while, and then it just kept doing the same thing over and over again. And once I kind of locked into the things I was going to create and use to solve puzzles, I would try other things and go back to them and be like, I don't know, this Dark Nut level 3 seems to really.
Wait, you get a level 3 Dark Nut?
You get a level 3 Dark Nut,
Man.
and it just kind of wrecks. things.
Does it still just have like the axe, or has it got something better?
It's got the axe and it spins in a circle. And since you can manipulate positioning of things, you could just take that thing as like a weed whacker and just kind of like push it into other people.
I started doing that after you pointed out last week that you can do that, and it felt like it just trivialized so much of the combat that I almost felt like I was cheating. It
makes a big difference, especially for flying enemies, when you freeze them on the ground and just hold them there while everybody pounces on them.
It's like literally all, and there's barely even aiming involved because you can auto-target when you grab stuff. So it's like literally just target a thing, grab it, move it in front of the enemy, let it die.
I think there is a difficulty setting on the game, but for me, it was more of by the time I was nearing, the back third of the game, I was so tired of going through the UI to select different things, and they put the on the big menu screen that has the boxes of them all, because it's just impossible to use the scrolling thing. So on the menu thing, it's always like the platiboom's always in the lower right, which I use constantly, which is the moving platform, and the other stuff like a torch or something is always in the top left. So you got to scroll all the way to the bottom, scroll all the way back. And then you'd think that'd be like, well, then just use your favorites from the favorites thing. And it's like, no, there's always one or two things that are not in there. And fun concepts, execution,
not 100% there.
Mid.
Yeah, that's the problem. Concept of 4, execution of 3.
Okay.
Well, now what happens? My tilt gives it maybe back to a 3.
We gave up reviewers tilt a long time ago, my friend. That thing has been abandoned wholesale.
It's, when you move to an arbitrary score system, the whole thing is tilt.
The whole thing is.
It's almost like all of it was arbitrary, actually, to begin with. Like what those mathematical formulas were pretty arbitrary on top of it.
Yeah, I did play some more of that as I was traveling back into town, but quite frankly, talking to you about it last week is what made me slow down on it.
Well, don't let me alter your view. Plenty of people love that game. I should go read all those 9 reviews now that I saw.
Kind of sounds like you're calling all those people idiots.
A little bit. Not my words. Brett Bear.
No, that's what I heard you say.
Like hearing that they just kind of break the challenge by just giving you what sound like hacky, like ROM hack type, But
that's fun.
ROM hack is a little bit strong, but you know what I mean? Like items that just kind of do all the puzzle solving for you.
Look, it's up to you to find your own fun and ROM hack in it. I saw the reviews come out, and that thing was doing really well. In talking to people, I don't know if I found anybody who truly, truly loves that game. But some people seem to think it's neat, and I think it's neat.
There were some middling reviews, even from major outlets that I saw. Like, it's not an unheard of opinion for sure.
I only got my reviews from Legend of Zelda is the best, and I will brook no argument.com.
Yeah, yes.
.com.
I've been thinking about, my girlfriend loves Zelda, and I've been thinking about just putting her in front of it.
Yeah,
and outsourcing it. Because she will probably play through the whole thing, and then I can see the end of it.
I am curious to see, like, if she played it for more than 3 hours, would she be over the gimmick, or like? Because again, I think it presents well, and then just is like, all right, let's.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was getting to. I had explored enough of the world that I was like starting to. It was starting to feel a little tedious having to whip out the right platforms over and over to build a stack of stairs to get over a thing.
And it's just the formula over and over again. Even my kids were making fun of Try by the end and being like, I can make a door here. My friends are trapped in exactly 3 places in this dungeon. Here we go.
Well, try means well. Come on.
Just try is sucker. I think the story is probably one of the more interesting bits of that game. I think, I still am not 100% sure what it's doing orbiting the Zelda lore in the upper right-hand corner of their Zelda lore map.
Gotta let that go.
I should let it go as much as they have let it go, which is completely. I would like this to fit in somewhere, but you're right. I don't know. After I was finished, I was like, this is kind of neat. It'd be cool if it tied into anything else.
Yeah. Do they keep up the like you have to be undercover because the evil king is trying to capture you and imprison you? Like, do they abandon that eventually?
That's when the second half of the game opens up. Okay. Or like there's like the first 3 things you do, and then the top of the map, let's say, opens up. And that whole thing. You get costumes in that game also. Which one lets you talk to cats, and that's pretty cool.
Okay, now you sold me.
Yeah, one lets you talk to all the cats in the game, and that's all right. It's second best part of the game. That's Echoes of Wisdom. I'm trying to think if there's anything else here to jump into before we take a quick break. I'll talk a little about Silent Hill here, because I don't have that much to say about Silent Hill right now, other than I'm going to try and, I think, finish that one up. I played it twice on stream. I think I'm just going to push ahead. I'm actually really enjoying it.
Did you play original Silent Hill 2?
No, I thought I did. I clearly did not.
Okay. Did you play original Silent Hill 1?
Yes, and that's what I keep thinking is Silent Hill 2, apparently.
Yeah, I think that's me too. I think I also just only played the first one.
Yeah, in playing it and having an audience there, it became clear that I was constantly remembering Silent Hill 1. I don't know how dissimilar they are, running through a town with fog and a radio. But
I mean, the stories are totally different, but
yeah, so apparently
the setting is the same.
Because I'm doing things in this game that I'm like, I don't remember this at all. This is not ringing any bells. And then I'd be like, what about this part? And people would be like, that is Silent Hill 1, you idiot. Stop.
You fool.
You fool. We keep telling you. So, but I'm going to keep going. It's actually kind of engaging me on this sounds so weird to say for these games, but the acting is pretty good.
Huh. I mean, that's totally fine. I don't see.
Oh, no, that's a weird thing to say.
Is it not? Because, okay, maybe I'm, okay.
Do you mean like for survival horror or for like PlayStation 1 era games or like
no, I think for
context?
survival horror, and this is probably, and feel free Silent Hill people to yell at me. That's okay. I think I'm just comparing it a lot to Resident Evil, where the acting is so corny 90% of the time.
Silent Hill has always taken itself way more seriously, and I'm not saying there aren't some performances in some of those games that are a little iffy, but I feel like the vibe has always been a little bit more melodrama and a little bit less like quirky weirdness.
It doesn't make sense. Don't get me wrong. It's nonsensical what's going on, like the acting, but some of the performances are like, emotional is maybe a little too strong of a word, but convey, I think, what they're trying to do in the game for the pieces that you get, and I like that. It's pushing me along in a way that's like, okay, good. I'll take this game as seriously as you do. Then
how combat heavy is it?
It's fairly combat heavy,
because that was like a criticism when fans of the original were seeing footage come out. They were saying like, oh god, they just turned it into another third person survival horror action game. But
it's like, it's not trivial. You can get caught off guard and take some damage, but I don't think I'm having too much trouble with it, and I'm not playing super well. Like I've got plenty of healing potions, healing items, and my ammo count seems to remain in the acceptable survival horror range. I would say acceptable survival horror is somewhere between 8 and 15 bullets in a gun. I feel like if you hit 30 bullets, you've got too many bullets in your survival horror weapon. And if you've got 3 to 4, then you've got too few because you'll never use them, But like 8 to 12 usually feels about where I want to be.
Sure. So it is full on a shooter then.
Well, like full on a shooter. Do you mean like,
or I mean, not that you're not going to get a rocket launcher, I assume.
Yeah.
But you are shooting. You are shooting regularly, is what I mean.
I'm shooting, but usually I'm trying to conserve ammunition to where I'm like, I will try to get a 1 or 2 shot maybe in the knees and then use a melee weapon. There is definitely unavoidable combat. When you're on the streets, it seems like you can avoid combat, but when I just got through this whole apartment complex where you have to engage in this combat. The corridors are too tight. You're not sneaking by anything.
How approachable is it if you let's say you've never played any Silent Hill? Like, does it feel like something you can just jump into and enjoy?
I think so. Again, my memory's terrible, and it seems self-contained enough where they are telling their own story here. For as broad as it is, so far it is like, hey, this person's wife who is supposed to be dead is missing, and they get a letter that they might be in Silent Hill. Suddenly he's like fighting things with too many legs or whatever and runs into people and never mentions it except to be like, sure are some monsters around here. But like,
yeah, it's a weird town.
Yeah. So like that, but weird stuff is happening. And I find the main protagonist, James, to be a dope, but kind of okay with that.
No, I think that's by design.
Yeah. He's kind of just this dope who feels like he's being taken in by everybody. But I'm enjoying it.
That's cool. I might have to check this out at some point. I did not have high expectations, although I kind of had no expectations, but it's being received well enough.
Did you see the quote?
Yes, I've got it. Yes, I've got it in front of me. I almost put it in the news.
Yeah, please read it.
I felt bad about it. The actual quote is maybe not quite as scathing. I like the way the way that Video Games Chronicle paraphrased it in the headline. Bloober team claims it's finished making, quote, shitty games.
That is quite a line.
We sent a memo out.
It's from a GameSpot interview. The actual quote is, "We want to be a horror company. We want to find our niche, and we think we found our niche. So now we just let's evolve with it." And how that happens is more complex, but it also happens organically. In a way, like with Layers of Fear, people in the studio were like, "Okay, we made some shitty games before, but we can evolve."
Okay, I see.
So that's yeah.
I guess that is an interpretation of that kind of statement, but yeah,
that's maybe a little bit of a
straining that one a little.
Well, I mean, they're still saying they're still being quite self-critical.
Yeah, I hope they are too. Look, there's we'll talk about it later. There's another Bloober team thing that was in that Xbox not Spotlight, what do they call it? Partner preview.
Oh yeah, it's what is the other game they just announced? Chronos something. Chronos the New Dawn is the
diving helmet chess player guy, or
is that like science? It looks kind of Dead Spacey almost a little bit.
Look cool.
Well, I haven't seen a lot of it. I've just seen some screenshots.
It looked cool, and this has done the thing that I think Bloober team would be happy to hear. It doesn't make me automatically say, "Oh, but it's a Bloober team game."
Yeah, I have found a lot of the shitting on Bloober team to be kind of mean-spirited and over the top over the last month.
It's a little over the top, but their games have not been great.
No, like those Layers of Fear games are mostly inoffensive, dumb haunted house bullshit that, just varying degrees of quality. The Medium actually sucked out loud.
Yes.
Like that game did in fact suck.
That's fine, but it came out years ago, Like there's a difference between saying something sucks and then moving on with your life and like really relishing going in on somebody over and over.
Well, I agree with you, but also the Medium was their last big game before this.
And there's I kind of agree with you, Brad. They were like a punching bag, right?
Yes, that's starting to feel that way.
Yeah. So
I have no horse in the race. Like I don't know that I've ever actually played any of their games. It just from the sidelines, it was a little off-putting.
So I hope Silent Hill does well for them. It seems like it's pretty well accepted, even by Silent Hill fans. And I hope people are enjoying it. That are in fans of the genre, because I'm enjoying it. All right, let's take a quick break here. We're going to talk about a few more games. We're going to be right back. Stick around. This week's show is brought to you by Pretty Litter. Alex Navarro, you've got a cat, and sure that cat has to use the litter box once in a while.
Vinny Caravella, I have 2 cats, which means that they both have to use the litter box.
Is there anything you can think of that might make going to change the litter or doing the process of a litter change more interesting, more convenient, and possibly healthier?
I don't think anything could make changing a litter box more interesting, but there are definitely things that would improve the experience. And folks, I have been trying this new product, Pretty Litter, and let me tell you right now, my cats seem to like it very much.
How do you like it?
I mean, I like it just fine. This is not just your typical clay litter. This is a non-clumping formula that traps odor and moisture. It's ultra-absorbent, it's lightweight, it's low dust, and one 6-pound bag works for up to a month. And the big selling point here is that they have fascinating litter technology that makes it so that if your cats have potential illnesses, like things like urinary tract infections, kidney issues, and so on, the litter actually changes color to give you that kind of indication.
Alex Navarro, can I use this Pretty Litter for myself? Why do we have this for cats but not for humans? We treat our pets better than we treat ourselves sometimes, Alex.
That's our healthcare system for you. But you know what? What's even better about it? It ships free right to your door. You don't have giant kitty litter bags taking up space all the time. You don't have to lug those huge tubs from the store to your car to your house and all of that. That sucks. This is better.
Well, it says here on the page, Pretty Litter is amazing and you have to try it. Go to prettylitter.com/Nextlander to save 20% off your first order and get a free cat toy. That's prettylitter.com/Nextlander to save 20% on your first order to get a free cat toy. We treat our pets better than we treat ourselves.
Yeah.
Prettylitter.com/Nextlander. Terms and conditions apply. See site for details. Thanks, Pretty Litter. Brad, do you fear the spotlight?
I know, because I haven't gotten caught a single time yet.
Okay, great.
But the stealth, it can be a little bit tense.
Knock on wood. No, Brad has not, you haven't put your foot in your mouth in any, over 20 years of podcasting.
That's right.
No longer fears the spotlight.
That's right. I think there might be a trophy riding on not getting caught. I'm not 100% sure. But
so I'm sorry. I meant to do this before we launched today and look this up myself and do my own homework. But can you explain the kind of provenance of this again and like where Fear the Spotlight comes from? Because
you mean with the whole thing with it like being taken off of sale and re-released kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I played the kind of intro 20 minutes of this at Summer Game Fest and was really looking forward to it or impressed by it. And it is a very retro lo-fi, one of what you were just talking about. Like it's a Silent Hill, Resident Evil type of game.
Okay.
I think, not having played Silent Hill, I can't quite say it might be more Silent Hill than Resident Evil. There's no combat. I'll say that.
Okay.
It's all avoiding enemies in a stealthy way and solving puzzles. There's no fighting.
What happens if you get caught?
I haven't gotten caught yet.
So that's okay, right? Yeah.
I'll let you know. But it's made by a like 2-person team. I want to say it's a husband and wife team actually. What happened is they released it late last year briefly, sold it. Some people played it, and then they took it off of sale. Like they removed it from Steam. And what had happened, which got announced finally at Summer Game Fest, was that Blumhouse Games had come in.
Oh, right. That's what happened. Right.
Kind of signed a publishing deal with them retroactively after the game had already come out. But basically, like they were like, hey, we can make this a way bigger and better game with their support now.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So anybody that already bought it is just going to get the upgraded version for free when it comes out. But we are going to take it off sale for like a year, it turned out to be.
Okay, so the history of this is not necessarily scandalous.
No. There's nothing weird about it at all. I mean, like people who already bought it could continue playing the version they bought. You know, like when this and it just came out. Actually, it may not be out yet. I think it came out on the 22nd. I had that in front of me.
It is out on the 15th.
Oh,
wait,
okay.
Nope. I'm on the wrong one, I think, because it did not come out September 15th, 2023.
No, that was the original release.
Yep,
I believe it came out on the 22nd.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. The Steam page doesn't update, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Maybe Switch can tell us. Yes, the 22nd.
Okay.
Thank you, eShop, for having the current release date. It was, in fact, the 22nd, which is the day before we are recording this. Anyway, I really like it so far. I think I'm almost at the end of it.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Probably would have finished it if we had not watched Drag Me to Hell last night, because I'm trying to watch a horror movie.
Nice.
Every day until this month is over.
Every day.
We should talk about Drag Me to Hell later, because holy shit.
Oh, yeah, that's a movie.
Anyway, man, I'm still reeling from that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so it's like, I know I talked about some of this a few months ago, but it's you are a high school girl who, with her friend, has broken into the high school on a dark and stormy night to stop me if you've heard this one recently. Their high school library has an occult section.
Oh, I'm familiar with it. What is the name of there? Is it a Reader's Digest occult book?
Nope, okay. It's not a Time Life Ouija board.
Okay.
I'm sorry to say. Anyway, shit gets weird quickly. Like reality starts distorting. Like there was a fire in this school like 30 years ago. And there's like a big memorial on the wall of all the students who died.
Okay.
And let's say maybe you suddenly find yourself in a much older version of the high school.
Okay.
Trying to find your friend who is making creepy phone calls to you now.
Quick question, just if you can generally say, what would you say about how long ago was that fire in this high school?
So that's been a weird thing playing this, is the fully coming to terms with the fact that like the time I was in public school is now what's like old for games that are getting made now in terms of the setting.
Like the 30s or 40s.
No, it's like 1987 is the oldest date I have seen referenced in this.
Okay.
So anyway, that's like the kind of time period. I mean, the period setting doesn't really matter. It's very dark. It's very creepy.
Like dark, like dark tonally.
Both. Well, no, more dark visually. So it looks very much like a PlayStation 1 game. It's probably the game using that kind of retro early polygonal aesthetic that's worked the best for me so far.
Interesting.
Like they're doing a really good job of it, and they're doing the thing you should do with this kind of thing, where they're capturing the look and feel and the general vibe of the appearance, but not necessarily hung up on recreating every single drawback of it. Like it's nice and smooth, right? It doesn't run at 15 frames a second like a lot of PlayStation games did. You know, like it's widescreen. It's got really good lighting. Like the lighting is way better than you would have seen on the PlayStation 1, but it still is recreating the look, you know, if that makes sense. Like
still you should, very swimmy.
Yeah, like you should do modern stuff on top of the old aesthetic and make it look cool, which is exactly what they're doing. Because you got a flashlight. There's a lot of very dark rooms. You know, like there'll be a room you walk into that's just got a TV on and nothing else, and there's a lot of good lighting and shadowing coming off stuff like that.
So what is this? Where is this giant spotlight coming from? Why is this trying to find you?
A dude called Spotlight Head, I think is how they refer to him.
Oh, okay.
Or Spotlight Man. It doesn't make it makes zero sense. It's literally just a bipedal spotlight walking. It's like a human body with the head of a giant spotlight.
Like, hey, this person, this is the guy that set fire. He was a stage crew.
Zero context or justification for where Spotlight Head came from.
Okay.
I think this is a sort of like, I mean, I don't know if this is based on anything, but like this is in that sort of creepypasta, like, you know, cryptid sort of category of people just get like Siren Head is a known like online sort of monster design that is somewhat popular. Like things like that exist. I'm saying they probably created this for this game, but it is in the tradition of this kind of monster that has sort of become known online.
Yeah, for that monster design, I could see it. I mean, the actual storytelling is a lot of like diary pages and like newspaper clippings and teacher memos that you're finding and stuff. They're kind of telling a story from the time before the fire. And it's all just like very puzzle solving, basically. Like the progression is 100% just like creeping around and like, I'm in the men's room and this urinal is full of black sludge and I got to find a way to flush this toilet because there's a fuse in there I need to get to turn the power back on. Like
see if you were James from Silent Hill, you'd go elbow deep, shoulder deep into that toilet.
Nope. This girl is full on. I'm not touching that shit.
There is hope for the kids. So do you have an inventory?
Yes, it is. It is very much. It is extremely Resident Evil, or maybe Silent Hill also did this. you know the early Resident Evil thing of walk up to a thing to interact with, hit the button, and it'll be like, oh, I need a thing to do something, and then it'll immediately go to your inventory without you telling it to. It's that thing.
Yes,
it's that early Resident Evil thing of it will automatically pop your inventory up when it's time to solve a puzzle.
I want to say Silent Hill will do that also. And be like, and it's like you don't have the thing.
It's very much that. There's a lot of good mechanical puzzles in this, like a lot of. Like there's a pretty extended sequence of restoring power to a big part of the high school that requires a lot of like switching fuses around and matching gauges on a multimeter.
Okay.
And like wiring things up correctly. Like you probably would enjoy that.
Sure.
But it's all puzzle solving. There's also some more Baroque Resident Evil style, like the statue's face is missing. I got to find the two pieces of the statue's face and put them in there. But everything's really dreamy. Like, There's one sequence at the beginning that's almost a little Twin Peaksy in terms of like suddenly there are red drapes everywhere and everything's on fire and you're running around. You know, like the environment kind of like shifts and is a little bit supernatural. So it's not full on like, hey, why do I need to put rubies into the statue's eyes to get into the gymnasium? Who would build a high school like this? It's much more like this is a high school out of some nightmare.
Okay, so not a lot of crests on doors or whatever.
Well, there is some of that, but again, it's like it's justified by the fact that you're in kind of a nightmare version of reality. Yeah, it's really cool. I like it quite a bit. I'm definitely going to finish it.
$20.
Yeah, it's $20, and yeah, like they nail that look. They've got full on sliders for like, you know, the kind of CRT look and dithering. They've got a slider for what they refer to here as polygon wobble.
That's the swimming vertices.
Which you can. I took that all the way down to see what it looked like, and I was like,
okay,
I don't think I can do this. Actually, it looks too clean, so I turned it all the way back up.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I'm glad that people are making good on that aesthetic and that vibe.
Yeah, like some of the games I've seen that use this, I feel like, I don't know, it sounds maybe a little mean, but it feels like it's kind of trying too hard. But this feels very like earnest about it. It feels like they come by it honestly, if that makes sense. Like it super fits the type of game they're making and the throwback nature of it, and it's all very tasteful and well done. I really like it.
I love that. This is, I don't know anything about the developers on this other than what you've said, that maybe it's a husband and wife team or a very small team at the very least, but that maybe the PlayStation 1 was the console they grew up with when maybe they were kids. That's my imagined history here. You know?
Almost certainly the case. And to be fair, they may have gotten more people to join them since they got that deal.
Yeah,
it may not just have been them by the time this came out. But and last thing I'll say, like for how kind of retro and lo-fi the visuals are, like it can be very creepy. Like,
okay.
Like it's definitely gotten my hackles up a couple of times because they'll like turn all the lights off on you.
It's the month to play it,
and then you gotta make your way through a very dark space with some creepy sounds and stuff.
Creepy games have I'm gonna say probably 40% of Steam. The other 40% are porn games, and then there's like 20% else.
I've always had my Steam filters on, just show me everything because I feel a responsibility to know what's going on out there.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about filtering the porn games back out because it's straight up making the recommendations unusable.
It's like a decent amount of like every week or every day, and they're like, "What's hot? What's new?"
Right?
Like, oh yeah, this is hot.
Porno.
Yeah.
Fully half of it is just sex games, and it's like, okay, like, I know what's going on out there. Maybe I should just actually make this useful for me.
I wonder if it's if you guys had to venture a guess, and we're not analyzing it, but just kind of your gut feeling. What do you think? What do you think Valve's revenue from that stuff would be percentage wise? I think they're cracking like 15% on
I don't know.
More? You think more, Alex?
I have no idea.
I bet it is actually a very significant portion of their day-to-day revenue.
They have put some like tools in place I've seen to be like, hide this, like don't show this game. Like I don't want anyone else to know this is in my library. And it seems like we'll ship this game to you in a black plastic bag. And
no, they understand you are ashamed, and they will do everything they can to make sure you keep giving them money and that your shame is never visible.
Do you think more than like, I was thinking like 10 to 15, but I never underestimate pornography.
Look, they have a vast game library. I'm not saying that I fully understand exactly where the percentages go based on genre and type. But if I know anything about the internet, if there is a thing that is a masturbatory aid, it will do well.
Do you think there are meetings at Valve that are similar to like some vibe of, look, we've got to figure out a way. People want these games, but they feel bad buying them on their Steam account. We need to make sure that they feel comfortable buying.
We need to hide their shame.
We need to hide their. How do we get people to engage with this stuff without feeling like it's going to be tied to their Steam account, the same account they want to go play games with their normies on?
I'm telling you right now. The only thing they are trying to do is make it easier to obfuscate. They are probably having no issues whatsoever getting people to buy those games regardless.
I mean, I still have to use my burner account. I mean, that's how rough it is there. It's my burner and my Bitcoins, Mm-hmm. Does Steam take Bitcoin?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I think so. Maybe.
I don't need to know.
They're going to track you, man.
No, it's not important.
Anyway, that's Fear the Spotlights out now as of the time of this recording, out yesterday. $20. Also on consoles, it looks like. So catch it there. I did not check to see if that is on any kind of like Game Pass or PSN Plus or anything like that, but it is listed here as being on consoles. All right, moving on.
I can fill in a little detail for you here.
Yes, please.
I guess there was a period where Steam did take Bitcoin.
Okay.
I missed this interview's from almost 3 years ago.
Okay, that sounds about right.
Okay, this is a PC Gamer story from our friend Wes Fenlon, actually. Steam wasn't on the Bitcoin train for long. Bitcoin, oh god, this was ancient. Bitcoin was introduced as a payment method in April 2016 and removed in December 2017.
Okay.
The pull quote in the headline, 50% of transactions were fraudulent when Steam accepted Bitcoin for payments, says Gabe Newell.
Jeez,
I believe it.
Okay.
So there you go.
There we go. All right.
Bitcoin. Not even once.
Bitcoin. Fear the spotlight, not associated with Bitcoin.
No, definitely not. Too pure for that.
Too pure. Another game here that I finished up recently that I think is an okay game, but shy of greatness. Phoenix Springs. This is the adventure game with a knockout presentation. Pretty good story. I think gets bogged down a little bit in the last act of this game, the kind of third act of it. But I really enjoyed it for the most part as an adventure game, and for its boldness, maybe is the right word I'm looking for. It really is a striking game to look at and to play through. The hook of the game is not only its bold color palette and use of really few but very saturated colors in its presentation. The only voice acting in the game is from the main character, and she kind of narrates as if she's doing an inner monologue about what's happening. The boy says he has nothing left to tell me. I press him more. He just looks at his shoes, right? Like it's very much like that. The other mechanic in the game is the kind of thought cloud interface you get, which somebody says something, it kind of gets added to your thought cloud, and then you can then pull that to interact with either other items or other people. For the most, I would say for the first 2 acts of the game, and I'm just kind of breaking them up arbitrarily, they're not really acts, but for the first 2 parts of the game, it's very detective story-like. You're kind of, how do I get into this building? How do I do this? How do I do this? The last one has you running around an area where it feels like you're just hit or miss talking to people on whether they'll talk to you or not. And the screens are far enough apart where you just want to go 5 screens over, but have to run through 5 whole screens. And you're like, oh man, I just need to be back here. And it actually takes me, video game time is different than mortal time, but it takes me 45 seconds to get here, which feels too long to get to this other part.
That does not sound fun.
Yeah. So that part felt tedious in a way that, because you're experimenting, right? You're like, oh, and that's the wrong part I need to be in. Now I got to go 45 seconds this way. But it does wrap up in a really interesting way and leaves a lot of unanswered questions in its story that I actually enjoyed. It's a very, I don't know, metaphysical. What is that? Very like philosophical exploration of memory and time, but it's cool. It's like got a real neat sci-fi bent to it.
Yeah, that's cool. That sounds. I mean, it's got a pretty literary vibe to it from what I played of it, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it's worth seeing your way to the end if you're bogged down in it. Maybe use a guide or something to not waste your time if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I gotta go run all the way over here, and I'm not even sure if that's the right answer.
Man, classic adventure game.
Classic adventure game
of just having to run back and forth constantly.
Some adventure games, and this probably wouldn't fit the vibe of this, but there was a good chunk there in the middle where you could double click on the edge of a screen and just go to the next screen.
Yes, that should be universal.
That's the way. And if I missed some of that, I apologize to everyone looking to get into this game, but I do recommend it. I even with that said, it's short enough and cool enough where if you like the vibe of it and you've seen some video or you've seen kind of how it plays, I'd recommend it. It's cool. It's also a $20 game. A lot of really rad stuff out there right now, like in the smaller game space, and I think that's just kind of where we live, right?
Yes. There are like 2 more games on Steam that I didn't have time to play for this week that I'm interested in. Like there's just indie games constantly coming out, and
these are the kinds of games that really appeal to me. And I think Alex, we just mentioned this before somewhere. I remember us talking about it. This is where I like to see some of the experimentation, and not whether you get better skin pores or like how much more you can render a hair follicle. Like this creative expression of visual expression and mechanic expression is where I like to see things explore. I think hold up better. Fidelity is cool and everything, but like, give me some of this. Phoenix Springs, $20. Available on the PC. Another game that is just strikingly beautiful. Maybe on just that one of the most, hey, look at this games I played in a while. Neva. She has said it so many damn times in the game, and I still feel like she says it differently 1 out of every 10 times. Neva, it's the name of the pup in the game. This is the game that I was shown a couple of times. It's got a very painterly art style to it. It is by is it Greece or Gree?
I always said Greece, but I heard it said multiple ways, so I don't know.
Is it French?
Spanish.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Yeah. So it's by that team. I didn't play that game, but this one is striking. It looks great. It's got a pretty heart-wrenching opening there. It feels like it's going to be an emotional journey. I think it seems to measure time by seasons, and I think I'm in the am I in fall now? Can't remember. But I'm like 2 seasons in. It's combat based and platforming based. You have a sword. You fight things that look like they are from straight out of Princess Mononoke. I think
they really do.
They have they're like black blobs with masks. But the animation is fantastic and a little like chilling sometimes for what it's going for. The setup seems to be there's not really any exposition explicitly made, but it seems to be something is corrupting the land and maybe sprouting a fungus out of living things, which is a little terrifying.
Did we stream the demo of this at some point?
I don't remember that.
Okay.
Could be wrong. I don't remember streaming the demo, but it's a very fluid platformer action game. You get like a double jump, you get an air dash, you get a...
okay, that's not what I expected looking at this at all. It looked much more like art platformer, you know? Like light on action, heavy on kind of experience.
I mean, that's kind of what Grease was, if I remember correctly. It was that it was not that heavy on the combat stuff.
So hearing there are like some tight mechanics to this kind of makes me want to try it.
Yeah, like you get an invincibility frame so you can dodge through things.
Okay.
It's you do some puzzle platforming and then you get into a combat area and then you got to kind of make your way through that, beat some things up as your wolf kind of gains new abilities throughout the seasons. I don't. They should have sent the poet. I don't know how to describe it. It's really, watching it is one thing, playing through it feels like another. It's cinematic and beautiful in a way that I haven't really been moved by in a while in current games. I'm feeling a little like on games recently. Like like there's a lot of cool stuff out there. Like Phoenix Springs is cool. Like Silent Hill 2 is cool. But nothing's really... I think I'm getting into that time of every game I play now, I'm thinking about where it would be on a top 10 list or something,
yes.
like on some kind of list. And so when I'm touching all these games, I'm like, okay, it's not the most healthy way to play games, to put everything into a bucket and to slice it up and do an autopsy on it. But it's just, I think, how our brains kind of work, right?
It's been our lives for the last 20 years.
Yeah, but this is one that immediately when I put on, I was like, okay, yes, best looking artistic, right? Like this is... this one wins. This is the one here. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, I was going to say, I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to feel once I'm done with it in terms of the gameplay. I'm enjoying it so far. It's not exceptional, I would say, not as exceptional as the style of it and the sound design, but it's serviceable. Like I'm enjoying making my way through it. It moves, and I like moving through it. So. Got a good vibe. What were you gonna say, Brad?
I might have to check that out at some point. I don't feel like there are a ton more releases this year, like big ones.
For the rest of this year? What about old Indiana Jones?
You're just talking about being kind of over games right now. Like there's Dragon Age, Indiana Jones,
Call of Duty.
If you're into that. Mario and Luigi.
Maybe my game that is my most anticipated game is still yet to come out, and that is the new Golden Idol game.
Right.
That's soon though, right?
Is that definitely next month?
I mean, that's the date they put on it. Not too.
Oh yeah, the 12th of November. Geez.
So that's the one I'm really looking forward to jumping into.
Yes. Slitterhead, anyone?
Is that still coming out?
Yeah, that's next
supposedly.
month.
Oh man, I for some reason thought that either got pushed or almost canceled. Okay.
No, it did not get canceled.
The person that woman left that team, right? She went on to go do a different thing. Is that what happened?
You're thinking of Ghostwire Tokyo, which already came out.
Oh, I am thinking of Ghostwire.
Yeah, she did not work on Slitterhead.
Okay, Slitter. She wasn't involved in the Slitterhead.
No.
Okay, gross.
You're talking about Nakamura from Ghostwire.
That's exactly what I was thinking of. Flight Sim also coming out.
Yes, true.
Middle of November. Stalker 2 is supposed to come out still. I think they.
Yeah. Where did that end up?
Is that still November? Or did that get pushed to 2025?
No, it didn't get pushed. I just can't remember if they put a date on it. They had said by the end of the year.
IGDB has it as the 20th.
20th of November. That's right.
What else? I'm looking at our list here.
Well, there's a few more things. Like Fantasian is coming to consoles finally. That's cool.
Platform 8's coming to Switch. That's funny. Yeah, there's some other stuff. Like I would like they said, that Golden Idol game. Very interested in that. Flight Sim, obviously very interested in that.
Yeah, with Assassins moving into next year though, like the kind of AAA release season feels a little thin now.
Yeah. Indiana Jones early December, so we'll see how that plays. So anyway, that was Neva. That's how I have to say it because that's how she says it. There's a button to call the dog. Antler dog.
You can call the dog.
You can hug the dog. You can interact with the dog. That's Zelda, Silent Hill, Neva, Fear of the Spotlight, and Phoenix Springs. Alex, you played a bunch of demos. Anything you want to call out here?
Yeah, I mean, the Next Fest was once again replete with demos. I did not get a chance even to play all the stuff that I downloaded, but there were a handful of things I thought were pretty fucking cool. One that I did not play on stream that I mostly enjoyed was Worshippers of Cthulhu.
Yeah, we talked about that, I think, on the Planorama.
Yeah, so this is it's essentially like a building strategy game. You are like building a town for your worshippers of Cthulhu and sort of like building your religion and your fanatics out of that. It's neat. I think they've got some novel ideas as far as like how resource management would work in a old god cult. It's not a looker by any stretch. It is not like I would say like a visual stunner by any stretch. But it's hitting, some interesting strategic notes. I kind of need to see how it goes into like longer campaigns. Though the tutorial, I will say, is very good at setting you up for like what all the mechanics are. So it makes a good first impression.
I think that is in early access now, or
yes,
as
it is. It just launched, I think, in early access,
like yesterday.
Yeah.
City builder with like unusual setting is something that they should make more of.
Totally.
That's probably I'm like sitting here looking at this shot of like building buildings around giant tentacles coming out of the earth.
We're on the same page.
Yeah.
Alex, what else you got?
Knights in Tight Spaces is an obvious winner for me because I really liked fights in tight spaces a great deal. This is very much that, but with a medieval setting and a little bit more emphasis on stuff like party building as you go along, because it is definitely like a high fantasy sort of like D&D character archetype thing. But the mechanics of it, like it's still the decks with the moves for your character based on whatever class you pick, and it has that strategy itch that I liked in that first game a great deal.
I like the vibe in that game.
Yeah, and it looks just different enough from the other one. Yeah. Karate Survivor is Vampire Survivors, but it's martial arts. You are a Bruce Lee type who is just going through and beating the living shit out of people who are descending upon you in a very Vampire Survivors like kind of setting. And it is that setup of like, you start out pretty weak, but then you keep building with each new run. You sort of, buy bigger and bigger upgrades for your characters. It's not that deep, but it feels like it's hitting the right notes. I mean, we're now in that window where we're going to start getting a whole bunch of these. So this one seems all right.
Oh, well, this looks interesting because it's mostly melee.
Yeah.
As opposed to the range attacks of most of these games.
Yeah, it's not bullet heaven, it's melee heaven.
And also like looking at doing like wall flips and vaulting over stuff and everything, like a lot of environment interaction. That looks kind of interesting.
There's also a combo system. Like when you add new like attacks to your combo string, like some of them meld together, some of them are best placed in certain areas, parts of the combo. So you kind of have to build out kind of like what your attack pattern is over time.
Also, the key art for this on Steam is the most arcade machine marquee art art I have seen on a video game in a very long time.
100%. I liked Keep Driving, which is a dirtbag road trip simulator, I guess is how I would describe it. You are just a person who is just kind of on the road, and as you are going along, like you get these little events that pop up that are like, hey, you're stuck behind a tractor. Here are the things you have to do to get yourself out from this. Dude, hey, you found a hitchhiker on the road. Are you going to pick them up, etc.? Is
this Road Trip Oregon Trail?
A little bit. It is not a direct analog, but I would say it is in that wheelhouse. That one's like, I felt maybe like just a hair overcomplicated, at least from like the first playthrough I did, but I definitely want to see what that full game looks like. And the last one I'll just mention here, Vinny, you played this one, but I was struck by it. My Arms Are Longer Now.
I played that for my kids again.
Yeah, what'd they think?
It's it's very short. My daughter got a real kick out of it, especially.
Yeah, that was like 10 minutes long, but it gives you the idea of what's going on there, which is you are Mr. Fantastic and you are stealing shit.
Yeah, it's got a the presentation feels very what is that? I think you should leave. You know, that sense of humor.
Did you mean thank goodness you're here?
Sorry, yes.
That's a different thing you just said.
Yeah, it's very different sense of humor. Thank you very much for clarifying that. Yes, thank goodness you're here.
Thank goodness I'm here to make sure you know what you're talking about.
Keep me on track. You know, it's got that kind of, the voiceover feels very like ad-libbed, you know, like as it's kind of running through, and a lot of fun. Pickpocket. You're a long-armed pickpocket.
Yeah.
It's very short demo.
Very short demo, but it seemed like there's potentially a neat little game in there. I would say that at this point, that is the stuff that has like stood out to me the most of the ones I played.
And some of them are out sooner than later, like that Cthulhu one. Again, early access, but I think it's early access. It's not out, right? I believe. Anyway, the demos that wrapped up, I think, on Monday. So some of those demos might still be up, and some of them might not be. Who knows how the demo gods work? We're gonna take a quick break here. We're going to come back. We're going to talk a little news, especially some Microsoft partner showcase stuff. They had a bit to show there. We'll run down some of our notable announcements there. So stick around. We'll be right back. All right, we are back, and it's time for the news. I had a little bit of I had a handful of peanuts before, not peanuts, some other nut.
I had some delicious cashews.
Oh, okay, great.
Man,
nuts. Fistful of nuts.
I just walked around my kitchen looking at stuff and then came back in here.
It's a lot of nuts.
Handful of nuts or it's a good little when you got a little 5-minute break there. A good little energy snack. All right. Let's jump into the news here. Microsoft had a partner preview event. A couple of announcements there, but really it seems like the thing to talk about first is Condor. Oh, sorry.
Nope.
Sorry. Brad, what are we talking about?
Yeah, I guess partner preview, I guess, is kind of their Microsoft's direct equivalent at this point. State of play, if you like.
It's all third-party stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the case, because they do have that other, I can't remember what they call their other stream, where they kind of go behind the scenes at their internal studios. But
that's called the Bethesda preview at this point.
Yeah, we have a name for the Remedy multiplayer shooter that used to be called Project Condor.
Yes.
It is FBC Firebreak.
So this is the one that's set in the Control universe, but this is not necessarily a Control game.
Well, it isn't. I mean, in fact, it's set in the oldest house, it seems. They say, and also looking at the footage, it's quite clear, because you know what that place looks like.
Oh, yeah.
Does anybody know what that place looks like?
Yeah, you get the gist of it.
It could be changing all the time.
It could look like anything you want, I guess.
That's right. Usually a lot of Post-its and clocks places.
Yes. I guess, Remedy occupies kind of special territory where we'll basically talk about any news they have, because their games are always consistently so interesting. So here we are talking about their new announcement.
I mean, this is a big one. Look, Control a hell of a game, and them making a multiplayer thing, a hell of a thing, right?
Yeah, like
that's a big deal.
They have not made a multiplayer game before. I don't think they've made a first-person shooter before either, which I did not expect this to be.
Yeah. So once you top level, give us what this is.
They mostly deal in third-person shooting, or entirely to date. So it's 3 players. It seems very Left 4 Dead-ish. It's
exactly what I thought when I saw
explicitly PvE. They say PvE multiple times. It's only 3 players, which is fine for us playing it on streams.
It's great.
Less fine for my 4-player regular gaming group. But a lot of games are 3 players these days.
Yeah, people have fewer friends now, is just the thing.
Yeah, I asked Will's take on that is that it simplifies the matchmaking quite a bit.
Okay.
For various reasons. But I don't know. I think Destiny just poisoned the well. Destiny was the first game that went to 3 players that I remember. Anyway.
But it's 3-player co-op class-based PvE?
I don't think they've said exactly. Like, they don't get into a lot of detail. In fact, they go out of their way not to talk about the literally looking at this Xbox Wire story.
Yeah.
Remedy isn't offering too much detail on the equipment yet. But the trailer shows us some very unexpected weaponry along the way. Like, it seems, I don't know if it's class-based or if it's just going to be more of a loadout-based thing, but yeah, it seems like going in on weird weapons is very much what they're going for here, which certainly makes sense for the control setting. In fact, it made me wonder if they're going to get into, like, maybe there will be, like, objects of power that are weapons, you know?
So yeah,
think about what a lot of the objects of power were in Control, even the ones you couldn't interact with that were just in, like, display cases.
I would imagine that you're either going in to quarantine or contain an object of power, but it would be cool if you had lesser objects of power as boosts, you know, or some kind of like special ability.
They could get super weird with the loadout in this.
The gear looks almost cobbled together from office supplies in weird ways.
It's set after the first game, but that's kind of all they've said, really.
The gear looks like one guy looks like he's got an extension cord or a cord wrapping thing on his back, and one guy has like in the trailer, it's like some kind of pogo stick-ish almost looking thing. Yeah. It like points at the ground.
One of these weapons literally has like just like a grinder handle.
Yeah,
that you're pulling constantly to shoot it.
Yes,
it's pretty colorful. Like, it's kind of weird looking. Like, it's not just the like very drab tones of Control. Like, there's quite a bit more color in here.
What do you think? What's your
cool.
initial?
I absolutely will try this. This seems neat.
It's not necessarily what I want from that universe, but I'm perfectly happy to dip into anything they want to do in it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, they're making Control 2 as we speak as well, so like.
That softens the blow a little bit, yes.
This is kind of a side thing. And they talk about, I'm trying to find it in that story, Control effing live service. Here it is. This is, I believe, is this? Yeah, this is Thomas Puha, who, standard disclaimer, is an old friend of mine, but I would not describe it as a game as a service, but yes, post-launch, we will be releasing a steady supply of new content. This isn't about logging in every day for some loot or fear of missing out on materials.
Oh, thank God.
So it's a pick up and play experience about having fun with your friends when you have the time. This is how he's describing it. That's not to say it doesn't have deep player progression and things to unlock, but yeah, so like they're kind of going out of their way to be like, hey, I mean, I can't say this won't have a battle pass necessarily, but they're definitely kind of downplaying any live servicey aspect of this.
You would think, and again, I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, if it's been revealed out there, that this will be a game you buy and not a free-to-play that you then pump money into.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's the case because they announced it'll be on Game Pass day one.
Okay.
So if it was a free-to-play game, that distinction wouldn't matter. So
unless
I guess they are just going to charge money for it.
All right. That's Firebreak.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a date associated with that?
It's next year.
Okay. 2025. Look for it. Think it launches next year?
Oh yeah, I think so. This has been, this has been in development for a while. We've been talking about Condor for like 2 years or more now.
That is true. All right, that's Firebreak, and that was shown in that Xbox.
Game Xbox.
Xbox. That was shown in the partner preview stuff. Anything else from that thing that you guys want to call out or that jumped out at you?
Two quick things. I will just say there is another trailer for that Pirate Yakuza game, the Majima game, and Samoa Joe is in it.
Okay.
As a pirate king.
Sure.
And that's kind of great. I have to give them credit for that one. The other one I noticed was Mouse PI for Hire, which is a first-person shooter done in that old-timey sort of Cuphead, black and white or animation style.
Yes, it's that game, right?
Yeah. That looks cool. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be any good or not, but like, at least from a visual standpoint, it's pretty striking.
Yeah.
Did you guys saw the Subnautica 2 trailer?
I did see that there was one, yes.
Yeah, I didn't watch the trailer, but is that the first time they've said Subnautica 2, or was I just assumed that was announced?
I don't think that's the first time they said Subnautica 2. I will say the thing that struck me was there's like it's a good tone in that trailer because it's like ominous and menacing. It's got there's like it's almost like a terror of the deep thing going on in that. I don't know if you guys how deep into Subnautica you got, but there's a early vibe in that game that it's bright and colorful.
Yeah,
and
it's like pretty. I really liked what I played of Subnautica, but yes, it was very chill, I guess I would say,
in the beginning parts, but it gets pretty dark and weird and spooky at parts. And that trailer, I'm not someone who's finished Subnautica, but that trailer gave me cool vibes because the under the ocean is pretty terrifying.
Yes,
and parts of Subnautica were pitch dark and gross, and that's gross. Yes, because water is gross.
I think that's early access next year. Is that right?
That's what it said. Yeah.
When did Subnautica's pretty old now, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, they had that
2018
Sub-Zero or whatever, the that DLC, that expansion that came out, that kind of,
or that wasn't that standalone? Below Zero.
Below Zero, yeah. So some other piece of content that kind of extended, I feel like, the life of
yeah. That was a separate game, I think, but yeah, that game's almost 7 years old now.
The other thing is, I think there's co-op in this one.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah.
You know what I would like to see out of the box is VR support, because I played like I'm pretty sure the VR was hacked into Subnautica 1 that I played. I don't think that was officially supported, and maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. Maybe that was real, but
it might have been real. I remember hearing about it.
Maybe it was.
What is real? How do you define real?
Nothing.
Anyway, that was like I don't necessarily go out of my way to play a lot of games in VR, but that was one where I felt like the VR really added to it.
Sure, you want to be scared out of your mind as your flare goes out.
Do I?
So that would be cool to see. Yeah, like just a new Subnautica with newer technology would be pretty rad, and I guess they're making it, so good.
I thought this is not something that tickles me too much, but it made me laugh to see Phasmophobia coming to an Xbox, which is like, that game's not janky necessarily, but that's like it doesn't feel like a console release. It still has that vibe, or at least the last I played of it still has that vibe of like, yeah, no, this lives on a PC. This is.
I mean, that game is like 5 years old now at this point, right?
It's pretty old.
It's old enough where it feels like that style of game moved on to something more like what's the one where you film everybody, or a Lethal Company? Content warning. Yeah, where like that style of game evolved into something else, right? Like it's almost like the zeitgeist moved on to something else. But yeah, that was kind of it. That jumped out to me. Chronos was that other game we mentioned before from Bloober.
I was trying to pull up. I accidentally just told it that I am not over 18, and now won't let me watch the video.
You will never be able to watch.
Oh God,
anything.
It saved the cookie. Shit.
Yeah, no,
you're fucked.
You're done. I don't know exactly what this is going to be, but Brad, like you mentioned before, it's almost like maybe like a third person Big Daddy-esque looking dude. I don't know. He's playing chess against an old lady.
Yeah, I mean, Bloober Team doesn't make shitty games anymore, so I'm looking forward to this.
It's right there. It's right there in the headline. And of course, we got a preview for the Alan Wake 2 DLC, which I really don't understand what was happening in that trailer as I watched it, but it looks cool. And we'll see. Did you guys, Alex? You finished Alan Wake 2, right?
Yeah, I did.
Did you ever want to play? You did not.
I did not, but it's also they're also doing a bunch of PS5 Pro work on that game, so I might actually go back to that version.
Okay.
When that thing comes out in a couple weeks.
I thought that kind of anthology DLC was a lot of fun, where you just play as the little bits. I'm curious to see what they get up to in the lake house, which looks much creepier than that kind of goofier anthology DLC that came out. All right. Anything else? I think that's kind of...
No, that's it. Animal Well came out on Xbox. That's cool.
Yep. There were, games.
Mm-hmm.
They're still
they
coming
will
out.
Still make them.
Yeah.
And on Xbox platforms.
That's right.
Moving on down the list here, we had... All right, the Nintendo's been in the news for a couple of reasons. They had adjacent to the Freak Leak, they're obviously a Pokemon company. They are suing the hell out of everyone constantly.
Oh yeah. Is Ryujinx one of the things you're about to mention?
I was going to mention Ryujinx.
I didn't even think to put that in here. I totally glossed over that that fucking sucks.
On the heels of, what was the other one?
Yuzu.
Yeah.
Yuzu was one thing because they were clearly maybe I shouldn't say asking for it, but they were really flying too close to the sun because they were charging money. And they were kind of doing everything you shouldn't do, and everything other emulator authors were saying, hey, fucking stop. You're going to ruin this for everybody.
Yeah.
And maybe they were right, because now they've gone after Ryujinx, who was trying to do everything by the book by all appearances.
And I pretty much said they're shutting down, right?
And that really sucks.
And they're also, they're going after, oh gosh, what is the name of it? I just forgot again. The Pal World folks.
Oh yeah, Pocket Pair is the developer.
So on the Nintendo, I'm not going to say don't mess with Nintendo, but look, their lawyers will get out there and are not afraid to sue the pants off of you and turn you into dust. But that hasn't stopped some people from breaking NDAs. Brad Shoemaker.
Yeah, I don't think there was an NDA. I was reading some comments because people have been getting precious about this, the way they did with Deadlock, the Valve game, where they're like, "How dare you leak information about this corporation asked you not to? How dare you ruin the surprise?" I literally saw people going like, oh, this would have been such a cool surprise for a Nintendo Direct. Why did you have to go leak this? And it's like,
oh god,
if Nintendo wanted it to be a surprise in a Nintendo Direct, they should have announced it themselves.
Yeah, Nintendo's not new to this game. They know that if they put something out there, there's a high chance that it will. Even I'm surprised they didn't have some non-disclosure, but even if they did, they would know that people are going to take footage of this.
Yeah. And I mean, now they are like going around getting shots yanked down off of Twitter and places like that.
Okay.
When people post them. They had been touting this playtest program and like taking signups for a while. For some reason, everybody had convinced themselves it was a GameCube emulator, like that they were going to add GameCube games to the Nintendo Switch Online. Instead, it appears to be some kind of like Minecraft MMO type mashup thing that Nintendo apparently is making.
Huh. But this, so I've seen, and Brad maybe know more about this than I do. I had seen some other reporting saying that, look, this could just be a stress test on network stuff. This might not be a real thing, but is the vibe out there that this is an actual thing? I
mean, did you click through to this Nintendo Prime Twitter account?
I saw the screenshots.
Yeah,
and I saw the stuff, but
this is definitely real. I don't know what it'll become eventually, but there's no name on it apparently, but it's some kind of quasi MMO. I'm not clear how many people get into the game together. We basically just got a few screenshots and like some kind of not marketing copy, but sort of instructional copy for people in the playtest to go on. Mm-hmm. In this game, the goal is to work with others to fully develop a massive, expansive planet by utilizing creativity and farmed resources. As you progress across the planet, you'll discover new lands, enemies, and resources that will become essential to your journey. There's this other bit about beacons.
Your beacon zones.
Players will be granted special tools known as beacons. These beacons emit a healing light that purifies and develops the land. The higher your beacon is placed, the wider its beacon zone becomes. That sounds kind of interesting. So that's some kind of territory control, something or other. And then there's a screenshot of what looks like this kind of like Lego-looking workshop called the Dev Core. The Dev Core is a separate space from the planet you'll be developing. Think of it as a social hub to gather with other players. You can level up your character, get items you'll need, commune with others, etc. So, yeah, I don't know who's developing this because Nintendo likes to not tell anybody who's developing anything these days. Although it leaked out who's making the new Mario and Luigi game. If you're curious,
I am.
It's Acquire, the developers of the Octopath Traveler games.
Okay.
Because Alpha Dream, the developer of all the other Mario and Luigi games, shut down since they made one of those last. Mm-hmm. So people have been like, who's going to make a new one of those? Because Nintendo doesn't tell anybody anything about their teams anymore. Internal and external. Anyway.
So this thing, you feel like this is probably a real product?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like there's no way they would mock all this up just for some little test. There's too much art and design in here.
And then people have been posting footage and it just comes right down?
I don't know if any footage has gotten out that I've seen. It's just these few screenshots of, again, these are like images of what might as well be a brochure.
Yeah, that's what this seems like.
These are just like screenshots with descriptions of what you'll be doing. In fact, actually, I'm sorry, the playtest has not started now that you mention it. I forgot that.
Oh, okay.
The playtest, I believe, is starting today at the time of this recording.
Okay. Oh, right. The 24th and the 6th. So this is just their materials.
Yes, this was like onboarding for people who got accepted.
I see. Okay. All right. Well, look, it's about damn time they fucking announce this thing. Let's
first response to this tweet. I honestly hope Nintendo just says we're not doing it anymore because you guys leaked it. That'd be kind of great. What's wrong with people, man?
No. I agree. I actually agree with them. That would be amazing if they did that because let's just, if we're gonna feed into this bullshit, let's feed all the way.
I love that Nintendo would spite cancel a thing because somebody announced it.
Some people found out no more fun for you.
We're not even going to do it anymore.
Like there is a subset of people who absolutely cares more about getting hype during announcement streams than actually playing games at this point.
Well,
anyway, this could be interesting. I mean, like seeing Nintendo put their spin on this kind of game could be cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And especially if it's launching some date in the future, this is probably going to bleed over into Switch 2 territory.
Yeah. I assume, again, if this is a real product, which it seems like maybe it is, like this would be an interesting thing to test whatever Nintendo wants to do with their friends and network infrastructure for the Switch 2. Right? If they're going to change it up, if they're going to keep it the same, if they are going to make it easier to get in, join, talk to people, we will see. I just went through some more friend stuff with my kids. It's just a hassle. It's just the friend code stuff is just a hassle. Even adding, and you guys, I don't know if you have this in your house, but maybe you do. Even adding somebody locally as a friend on the Switch, unless I'm missing something, on the same Switch, you have to memorize the friend code and then put it into the Switch to be like, hey, we're on the same Switch. I want to add my kid as my friend on device. Maybe on an app it's easier, but like we had to memorize the code and then go to the other friend and put it in. Just I don't know if that's the way Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not.
All right.
I expect that to be no better on the next Switch.
No, I expect it to be exactly the same.
But I'm curious to see what happens with this, because Nintendo taking a well-worn concept like survival crafting type games and doing their own thing with it could be very interesting.
Yeah, especially on the heels of things like Breath of the Wild. And
right, like that's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. It's like they decided to make an open world game and something weird came out of it, Like could be the same thing here.
All right. Moving on. That's the Nintendo Switch online playtest stuff. I'm sure we'll see more leaking out. Like we said, that playtest going up as of the recording, and then one in early November, it sounds like. So, Netflix, Brad Shoemaker, Netflix. What are they not doing anymore?
Intrepid Games reporter Stephen Totillo has a scoop there. I think we probably talked about this when it happened. It was sometime in 2022 that they started this kind of big AAA studio, which apparently to date has just been called Team Blue. I think it was in Southern California.
Okay.
The biggest claim to fame is that Joe Staten went there, who was like, longtime Bungie creative guy. Was like creative director on Halo for a long time. Worked on Destiny quite a bit. Has been back at Microsoft, like helped get Halo Infinite out the door. He went over there. They also got some people from Blizzard, some kind of higher level people from Blizzard to come to this studio. Anyway, that studio is now gone.
And I feel like in the story you've linked here, the Kotaku story, is there anything to show from it?
No, nothing.
Okay, nothing.
Nope. No, I mean, by modern development standards, 2 years is like barely enough to get a concept together.
Okay.
Or you're not going to have any like footage to show of a game probably when you're still like hiring up, you're staffing up a studio when you're starting something from scratch.
Yeah.
And alongside coming up with an idea for what you're going to make.
I mean, maybe stuff will come out about what they were working on or planning to work on.
Yeah, it's possible, but yes, they had a number of fairly big names from different developers of note.
But this is Team Blue, and this isn't necessarily the entire Netflix publishing game.
No, this was like one studio.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think it's the first like major big AAA type studio that Netflix had started, and I guess anyway.
Yeah. I mean, look, getting folks like Joseph Staten and people like that to work on that thing, like you don't pull that kind of talent together unless you're serious about it. But apparently, that seriousness does not extend very long these days if you don't have something to pitch very quickly.
Yeah, or just internal priorities change. Like Netflix is not a games company primarily, so who knows what executive maneuvering went on that deprioritized something like this. I
mean, they keep gesturing like they're going to be, but yeah, it just feels like nothing they do in the game space is like that serious outside of buying studios.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I can't remember if it's Kotaku or the original Totillo story here that pointed that out, but yeah, so far they have just bought existing studios with existing games.
Yeah.
Or made deals with, Why can I never remember the Into the Breach and FTL developer's name? Is it Subset?
Yeah, Subset Games.
Subset Games. Yeah, like, they made the deal with them on Into the Breach, for example.
Still see Netflix logo on the bottom of a couple of things.
Oh yeah.
So still got their finger in the pie. Obviously, best of luck to everybody at Team Blue, who is now looking for work.
Got to be very frustrating to try to build up a whole new studio like that and then just have the rug pulled.
Especially if like your project never even got announced or out there, right? And then also kind of disappointing here, sad news, this Ubisoft report, the rumors about the team that worked on Lost Crown being
Prince
either...
of Persia. Yes.
Yeah, Prince of Persia Lost Crown. There were kind of rumors floating around there that are they being let go? Are they being disbanded? What's going on here? Brad, we finally got some confirmation.
Yeah, they gave a quote to Eurogamer that basically confirms that that the Lost Crown team has been disbanded. So don't expect any more of that type of Prince of Persia.
But not let go. Just put on other projects.
Sounds like they've moved around. Yeah, there's an Insider Gaming report that says a lot of them have moved to a Rayman remake.
Yes, there's a Rayman reboot that is apparently in development.
Well, this says remake, which makes me think it's like pretty similar to the original. Which like are they talking the first Rayman?
I like those 2D ones. Those were
those
really
2D ones were really good.
Right, like Origins and Legends. I think that's what those were called.
Yeah, those are cool.
Those were great. I mean, but I guess that means if this is a remake of the first one, it would be another 2D game, I suppose.
And that's, I mean, like, I understand this story is primarily about the Prince of Persia team kind of getting moved over to this stuff, but one detail that is not been necessarily lost, but it feels a little bit buried in this, is that they're talking about bringing back Michel Ancel as a consultant on this project.
Yeah, it says he's already back.
But remember, he left under a cloud of some not-so-great stuff there.
No. Let's say the leadership at Ubisoft has not exactly changed much.
No.
Since then.
And
I mean, I don't think he was accused of, like, the worst stuff in any of that, but, like, it was in that, like, vein of, like, hey, the leadership here from him was very bad.
Yeah, I mean, this Insider Gaming thing flat out says that's enough to have cast a less than popular light on the Rayman remake project. Internally, even if Ansel is only on board from a consultancy perspective.
I just don't know why you do that. Like, I understand you want to bring back Rayman, fine, but it's like, if you were serious about Ansel being a problem there, why would you just bring him back a few years later as a consultant?
No idea. Ubisoft,
the answer is they're not serious about it, actually.
Well, like maybe there's some weird contractual thing attached to Rayman where he has to like give a blessing or something. It also seems like Ubisoft is no one's at the wheel. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ubisoft seems like it is headed into some choppy waters. We talked about it recently where what will Ubisoft even be in 2025? I feel like they've got a lot riding on some big bets they've placed, and we'll see how that all...
The car is on fire and no one is at the wheel.
Speaking of big bets, the end of this story, other developers have pivoted to work on Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah, good luck.
Just in case you were wondering if that was still going or not.
We opened up our wallet and it's full of blood.
I understand Lost Crown probably didn't, according to the story, didn't perform financially, but I really like that game.
It was good. Sad. That's really sad. The game was great.
Yeah, it's I would take another Lost Crown over whatever Assassin's Creed thing they are going to mash into mush by the time that thing releases. I shouldn't. I'm being very cynical. Who knows? Maybe that game will be great. But I would rather see what the Lost Crown seemed like it was doing some cool shit and trying. So I'd like to see that. And also, good luck with your Sands of Time remake. Whenever that comes
maybe we'll
out.
get there eventually.
In 2026, I guess is the window on that. Didn't they show that? It was like they show that in a black screen that said 2026 at their not E3 thing. So I don't know.
I don't know either, man.
I don't know.
What I don't know about these days is more than what I do know about.
All right, that's gonna wrap up the news for us here. Video games.
Mm-hmm.
We are ending out 2024. Boy, 2025. Shoulder shrug. I really don't know. There's a bunch of stuff coming out, but this industry feels like it is still trying to figure out what the hell it's going to do with itself.
Yeah,
as we move into 2025. A lot of question marks. A lot of exciting things coming up. Brad, can you remind me when that PlayStation 5 Pro comes out? I feel like you're better with dates than I am.
November 7th.
November 7th. Okay, wow.
2 weeks from the day this podcast posts.
Have they shown that at events?
They had Digital Foundry out to mess with it.
Okay.
Maybe some other people. I'm not sure. They haven't like widely shown it as far as I've seen.
I think I saw like a CNET article. I think Scott was there.
He got the exclusive like before it came or before the announcement was made and saw it ahead of time. But then DF went and saw it too, and that might be it so far.
It certainly doesn't feel like the PlayStation 4 Pro event stuff where was that closer to launch when they did all that?
I can't remember how far out that was, but they had that full on event in New York, with a live audience and everything. So that was definitely a lot bigger. It seems like it's mostly developers themselves doing the promoting for a lot of their stuff. Like a lot of developers, like kind of day by day now, or just like I said, Alan Wake, like Remedy put out a big thing about like, here's what we're upgrading on Alan Wake 2 now on the Pro, and like Last of Us and a bunch of Horizon, games like that, or game by game, just going, here's what's different.
Just reminded me like, oh yeah, that'll be that, and the Switch 2 hardware wise will be, carrying us into 2025 and beyond for a good couple of years there, at least.
Don't get me started on the Switch 2 discourse. Like after those rumors that it was going to get unveiled in October, there are people just like day by day going like, all right, is this the week? Is this the week?
Is this the week?
It does not seem like the week.
Okay. We're gonna pass on emails for this week. Our email address, podcast@nextlander.com. Podcast@nextlander.com. We got a bunch of stuff going on. Alex, we gotta get you out of the house. Make sure you don't get fumigated. Don't breathe that stuff in. But we have a bunch of stuff going on with the Watchcast. We are wrapping up our spooky month here with our Halloween stuff. We are done with VHS. We was that the last one? Geez, my mind is mush. No. Yes. No. Simpsons. Treehouse of Horror. We just did.
Yes, we did.
So that'll be going up next week with special guest Alex.
Henry Gilbert from the Talking Simpsons podcast and also the What a Cartoon podcast. I've been on their show a bunch of times. Finally, I'm bringing them on to something.
Fantastic. A Simpsons expert,
yes,
if you will.
One of a few that I know, and definitely one of the most knowledgeable people about that show and its many, many tendrils into television animation.
And again, that's Treehouse of Horror up to season
1 through 6.
Okay.
And it's 1 through 6 7? Up through season 7.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's not one in season 1. So you can check that out. Patreon.com/Nextlander. Got a bunch of stuff going up there. We should have a Never Been a Better podcast at the end of this week going up. Got the Ramblecast. We'll have a Planorama going up soon at the beginning of next month. We have a Patron's Choice we'll have next Halloween. Literally this Halloween coming up on Thursday of next week. You can go vote next week on that stuff over at patreon.com/Nextlander. Bunch of different tiers there. Thanks for supporting us. Find a tier that is right for you. There is one tier there, though, that gets their names read on this here podcast. Alex Navarro, would you mind reading those mysterious benefactors for us this week?
I'd be more than happy to. Our mysterious benefactors for this week are 10 Toes of Jury Han, Sean Miller, RRE, Infelicitous Rips, Casey Park, Kelly F., Brian Lucier, Skywarp, John Hubbard, Evan Cook, Mark Wilhelm, Jerry Lee, Deirdre but in a spooky scary house, Gary Pejke, Robert Fisher, Buddy Fiend, Jad Rita, Statics, Fantasticasm89, Brian Murphy, Randy Duax, Randy Alderson, Andrew Tiebkin, Alex Wu, It Me JP, Edward Chick, Andrew Slosky, Steve Lynn, Matthew Herrig, David Campos, and Tyler Treese.
Thanks to all our mysterious benefactors for this week. And thanks to everyone who has supported us and gone over to patreon.com/Nextlander. We couldn't do it without you, won't do it without you, and we'll continue doing it with your support. Thank you, Brad Shoemaker. You're going to be streaming this Thursday. Do you know what you're doing?
Yes. I'll probably get back to Fallout.
Time to Fallout.
If I remember how to play it.
You'll remember.
Hadn't been that long.
Alex Navarro, thank you. I want to just mention also on Friday, we'll be back with Patrick Klepek for Volgar.
Oh, yeah.
Brad and Alex will be playing some more of that. We're up to Volgar,
no, I'm not playing
too.
Shit. Brad and Patrick will be. I'm just there to hang
Patrick.
out.
Yes. Are you there on this one? This is a Waypoint one. So,
the more the merrier.
Yeah. We'll have to finalize that with the Waypoint folks, too. We'll check in. Who knows?
Who knows?
Exciting times. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back next week.